next speaker is a person I've known a long time, well, at least since like 1999, back when we still had the Prince song to look forward to. So I've known him since 1999. And he's actually one of my mentors, and he actually got me deeper into this black chamber industry business kind of thing like that, because I didn't really want to do it, but he encouraged me. But he is the author of the Pan-African American Cultural Heritage Initiative and the architect and organizer of the Pan-African Cultural Heritage Alliance. And included in that are members like the National Black Chamber, the National Cultural Heritage Tourism Center, the National Black Business Support Corporation, and the National Black Tourism Marketing Corporation. All of those groups are part of it, that initiative. And he's very active in his community. He hails from Pensacola, and he is the current chair for the Pensacola Habitat for Humanity. And in 2004, he was named as one of Florida's most influential people. And then he was also named as one of Florida's most 500 influential business leaders in 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. So I guess he'll get it in 2022, I guess. I don't know. So, but most of all, he's an ordained minister. So whenever I talk to him, I get my mini counseling session whenever we talk on the phone. So he tries to keep me straight, which sometimes is a hard thing to do. What he's going to talk about is cultural economics and tourism, and I like to have him come and do this every so many years when we have different events, because he always adds to the information. He's done a lot of studies. His studies have been used by universities in Florida, and he's well documented. So without further ado, I want to ask my good friend, Eugene Franklin. Eugene Franklin. Okay.
There are cultural issues and things that are more important, and connectivity, as it was being discussed, is important. And our culture, our heritage, our mores, and our faith, that's what the previous speaker, your faith is very important to you, it's very important to the community. When our ancestors came off a plantation, even though it was the slave Bible, they had one thing in knowledge, and it was faith. And it's around this faith that allowed them to produce their communities. Can you imagine coming off and never have been off the plantation, and now you're free? Freedom has an issue. So how do we form? Why we do the things we're doing? That's the study. And the thing that led us more so than anything was our faith. Our faith. Now, I'm not going to preach, but I want to use it to lead to how do you get. Off of your faith comes your culture. How you believe in your faith produces your culture. From our culture produces, over time, our heritage. So I'm the president of the Florida Black Chamber, and for the purpose of my discussion, we're not going to talk about black as a race. It's a culture. It's a culture. And we tend to try to unite people around the race part, and we miss the economics of uniting opportunities about uniting around the culture, the heritage. Your culture produces your wealth. I want to be clear. Now we're talking about changing thinking here. Your culture produces your wealth. Celebration of that culture and the history of it protects it. So if we have culture, that's our wealth, we don't celebrate it and we don't protect it, what happens? Other people take it. And they make money off of it. Do we get it? It's all around if you don't want to look at it. And there are some speakers that have come after me that are more in depth in the understanding and can probably expound on it better than I can. So your culture produces your wealth. Your heritage is what protects it. So I practice and I teach at the grassroots level. I believe it's time to rebuild forgotten communities. It's time to rebuild forgotten communities. And it's time to rebuild God's people. And through cultural economics, the practice of cultural economics is the only way. And cultural economics don't discriminate. Booker T. Washington is who we always talk about when we talk about business. Well, you should talk about when it comes to business. He's our culture, and he's part of our heritage. But when he said we just build our businesses and only do business with each other, we will not just survive, we will prosper. Prosper. That's the key. It's what you should be in business for. And creating. Now remember this. We always talk about, and I'm borrowing a little bit, but forgive me. But I use it always, so I'm sorry. But we always talk about, and as a community activist around economics, when I'm talking to, like I'll use the Florida Black Caucus, okay, politically, they have a problem with me because they talk about jobs. Jobs, that's what you're going to hear, jobs. But businesses create jobs. Businesses. So in the era from the time that the slave laid the plantation all the way through segregation, the emphasis in building communities, how was that done? Through creations of jobs, bars. We built it. We built our own communities. We built the churches. Nobody came in. And remember, they came from where they didn't have the educations and they didn't have the fortitude, but with the will and with the help of God and by connecting with each other with limited resources, we built communities. And those communities serve the needs of the culture, and the culture prospered. Does that make sense? And then we left it. And now they're forgotten communities. We now are class and status. We drive, we live, we have. And Bobo and your cousin Pookie, Janika, Kawanda, Lucinda is sitting back there, and we will not go back and help them. It's time to rebuild the walls in forgotten communities. In my day, in my time, my parents, I'm 74 years old here, Shirley. Oh, thank you. I do need that. I'm 74 years old. My youth was spent primarily in segregation. Very little hope, very little what? Opportunities. But I was part of a community that gave me everything that I needed, even for the poor. We didn't have homelessness. We didn't have all the other issues because we were rooted around our culture and our heritage. And back then, we didn't do that. You took in the child next door, you did what it took, and you shared your wealth with them. Now, those are stories that resonate, don't they? Even if you're not doing it, you know about it, and it feel good, don't it? Well, that's the power of culture. That's the power of community. And right now what we are lacking is culture. We transferred it to entertainment. It has no purpose and has no value. It might make somebody rich, but it doesn't create culture, doesn't create wealth for our community. It don't. We don't, it won't last. Now let's go and look when I talk about that, Word of God. Because there are three things that identify in a culture, and we embrace it. There are three things. If you want to identify if it's a culture, it has three things. Art. A-R-T. It has its own food. Food. And it has its own music. If you got those three elements and you drop them in a community, not entertainment, that's good now, I ain't nothing about it. But if you want to bring your culture back, you want to celebrate your heritage, you got to drop those three things into a community. And now the businesses, when people start gathering, your businesses come, and it leads to the transformation of the community. Now, it don't stop there. It does work, and I'm telling you, I do it. I teach people how to do it. And if you want to look up the place, I went into a community called Belmont de Villas. It's in Pensacola, Florida. Most of y'all don't even know what Pensacola is. Okay? They're good beaches, good stuff. But the community was vacant, and people had left the community. And it used to be the place that Tina Turner, Sam Cooke, everybody came, and the beaches were there, and it celebrated. It was something like a true Harlem, and it's about a 4-block area, and it was the place you can go. You had your doctors, you had your lawyers, everything that the community needed existed in Belmont de Villas. And the 4 areas there, they called the blocks, and people gathered. You had your gathering place, and they celebrated the culture, the heritage. Everybody who was anybody came through. You were safe in those arenas anytime. No matter where you went, you were safe. You felt like you belonged to something. No matter what happened, in your life, the struggles, you didn't get paid. You had this gathering place. And whatever you needed was provided. We left it. The doctors took positions. They left it. The lawyers took positions. They left it. The businesses went uptown, and they left it. And Pokemon and Bowman were left behind. We went into the community. How do you revitalize it? What does it take? Because we didn't have any money, I had no grants, and nobody was going to try to help you revitalize a community and foster it. There's a point to my message. So what did I do? Drugs. I dressed up as a minister, 3-piece suit, July, sweating like a pig. And I walked the streets. I picked up the beer bottles, the beer cans, and that. And everybody looked at me like a crazy. I got the cracks and the things and all the paraphernalia, and I would drop it in the box. Because, see, they say build it and they will come. They'd done the sidewalks, all the facades and everything, but nobody came. They thought I was crazy. And then I found me an artist. She was selling beautiful paintings for $250. And they would have a little event down there, but $250 out of her trunk, and every now and then they would have an event. Well, that was nice. But then there wouldn't be nothing else. So we opened up an art gallery. Not a black art gallery. We opened up and we called it Gumbo because it represented all culture. and we taught, and we did a call out to artists. You would not believe how many people of African descent that had gone to college, got art degrees, and had nowhere to show their art. Nowhere. And so we created the Gumbo Gallery. We call out to artists, and we open, which y'all call pop-up now. We had markets on the weekend, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, and we put them on the street. Now, that's nice. We do that, huh? Everybody is doing that. Yeah, see, they're creating opportunities. But nobody came. It was just another market to some people. So we told the history of the community and what it was. And we start celebrating the villas. The villas. We marketed the villas. Who used to play there, what used to be, all the interaction. And the painters, she started painting it. We painted little girls waiting, and she have an apple, and while she's reading the black newspaper, and we would take pictures. And then we created a tourism guide. You know, other cultures do that. What does it say? Birmingham travel guide? Huh? Is your story in there? Is your business in there? See, this is what I've been trying to teach chambers to have, just like mainstream, promote our own. See, in here are businesses. This is tourism, but it's really is advertisement. And what this does, that it sends the message out. And so you got a business. Now you're in Atlanta. Well, guess what? I'm marketing. You come in. That's what the Green Book did. The Green Book wasn't just tell you where to go. It had a purpose, but it also told you what's there. And it piqued people's interest and opportunity and what's not there. Is your business serving a need? Most of our businesses will not join chambers. I'm a chamber president. They won't join them. They won't join them because we're not thinking outside the box. Most of our businesses serve the cultural needs of the community. Let me give you an idea, and then y'all keep track of my time because I don't want to be over. I know I'm late, but keep me on. But I'm almost to the end of my journey of the story. So, in Florida, I'm from Florida. Now, I'm from New Orleans. Originally, I don't know if y'all can hear my little accent. I spent most of my time in the Navy, 27 years in the Navy, and I've traveled the world many times over. I came up, I was an honor student. When integration came, I went through integration. And it didn't help me any because, unfortunately, with integration, it takes a while before the system changed. So I had to be a janitor or something, and I started trying to go to college. And many of them had not flipped over, and I had an issue, and I got drafted. Worst thing in the world, best thing happened to me. I went from cleaning toilets, which was traditional for sailors in the military at that time, if you were African American. I went from sweeping floors, cleaning toilets, and when I retired, I had a command, but I got every degree that I could get, because they paid for it. You understand? I've been around the world many times. I wasn't a drunken sailor. Everywhere I went, I studied the culture and the economics. I went to the museums. Nobody came with me, but that was okay. I love going to London and all the stories and the things that my education in high school brought. I got to see it, and I understood that no matter what, as a people, we were overcomers. We were overcomers. And in other countries, they celebrate their culture. The things we complain about, they celebrate their culture. But we always find a way to create that opportunity for ourselves within those culture. Does that make sense? And so here, stop complaining. Create opportunities. The land is laying fallow. Birmingham is developing, there's fallow. You may not have the money, but if you get with the chambers and y'all start putting together investment group and identifying critical historical pieces that need to be saved. There's money in the arts. The lady that I brought in that ran the art gallery, she started painting her culture. The people got mad. The community started developing. People got angry at us and said, we start bringing in the white people. We did. They came in and bought the art. They came in. Instead of tearing down the record joint, okay, that used to be where the black radio station would be, I said, we got to preserve this building. It's historical. Of course, they couldn't understand it, but it's not historical for you. It's historical for my culture, and we are not going to tear it down. So I found a philanthropist. We took it, and we turned it into a black restaurant. I had the art. I had the food. And guess what? We put the cuisine. We didn't call it soul food. We call it African American cuisine. Cuisine. Gotta be marketing this stuff. And they came. You can't get a seat in the place. Can't get a seat in the place. But black people own the museum. They own that, and they own. Now, I just needed my music. So we had the Bunny Club. The Bunny Club. What could you do with the bunny? But it's on the block, black owned. So I say, let me rent it for you. I ain't going to give you no money, but I'll make you money. Because everything I wanted to do was to prove that you didn't need money. You didn't need money. I didn't take no grants. The city mad at me, things starting to happen, they want to give me money. No, this is a community. I wanted to show the community just come together and do it. Think outside the box. Use what you got to get what you, hey, that's a song. I think I remember that in my pre-preacher days. Okay. And I'm going to conclude with this. But the key is we changed the Bunny Club to the DeVillis Cultural Heritage Museum for Performing Arts. Another name for club. Then I wrote an editorial and I said, as Reverend Franklin, Christian people who don't have a place to go to date and to meet each other. And now you're welcome to come to the DeVillis Cultural Heritage Museum for Performing Arts. And then we took all the artists from the art that couldn't make it in our little art, and we covered the walls with it to hide all the beer stains and stuff. And it became the place. We invited a church to come and provide the food at the bar. They came in, cleaned it up like crazy, and then they put the food. So there was a place for us. Beverages were available next door, but nobody knew that unless you knew the code word. Baptists may not drink. Baptists may not drink, but every other denomination does. Okay, it's called a business. So we created successful people, started renting the place, weddings, all kinds of stuff happened. Art, food, music. Now here's the hard part. Now you got to tell the story. How do you tell the story? Now you got it going. Tourism. Try tourism. So once we start building, people were scared. Things start happening, people start coming. We had to tell the story for growth to create jobs and opportunities. So we built, a couple of friends of mine, Hank Harris, we built a tourism guide. And we told the story of all the communities that used to exist in Pensacola. 'Cause many of them were torn down when the interstate went through, and then later were gentrified or left to stay fallow. So we told the story. And how do we do it? With art. We painted it. We found books that where the stories were, and we copied, and we put them in a magazine. We put them in stories. We sent it to the mainstream press, and we partnered with no money. We didn't want no money. See, money sometimes is a limitation. So we forced the issue and say, you do not market us, going back to the Green Book. Because the question we want to know, are black people welcome to come to Pensacola? What about our businesses? So they cannot tell your story. We depend on other people to tell the story. The story should always be written bottom up. So what we created and teach, if chambers don't do it, you create a cultural heritage society, and you put it in a publication, and you give it to the Birmingham, Greater Birmingham Visitors Bureau, and you ask them to share. Guess what happens? Your community develops. People come from everywhere, the same group of people. You didn't ask for no money, but you got to do the what? The work. And it comes from how you want to tell your story. And now you're in control of your story. And when you say it's too hard done, yes, it can. All them kids who know how to get on a computer. And today, it's e-commerce. And the reason what I do is I built an Alabama cultural heritage guide. Of course, I'm not using it, but I use it to teach. Because guess what? Alabama is the most important state by my estimation as far as our culture and our heritage. Alabama is where it all took place. Alabama, no other. You got the assets. You got all the things that you need to talk about. You got Shuttleworth. You got all the things. They had to come to Alabama to the issues. You got so much stuff, and you got brick and mortar that you can share. Tell people in Chicago, come home to Alabama. It's time to rebuild forgotten communities. It's time. I like y'all think, rebuild Alabama, join the movement then. It's time to rebuild forgotten community. Don't wait on nobody else. You do it. It's your community. You do it. Meet at the churches. Bring in like professors and people. You do it. We have an institute. We collecting people who will come and help you. But you got the talent. Alabama State, Tuskegee, all these things you're proud of. They're on campus. That's why we have them. Their job was come off and help rebuild. It's up to you. If you want to rebuild, it's up to you. But I say think outside the box and use tourism to tell your story to help your business grow so Pookie Man, Jimbo, and Eugene can have a job. God bless you.